What's up, everybody? This is your girl Ericka from the Classy Climb blog. I have a special episode for you guys today. We're kicking it off in Atlanta. We just finished the Digital Liberty tour. It was a great turnout. I was super thrilled with everybody there and the progress everybody was making. And I said, let me see if I can grab somebody off to the side. And guess who I got? You know, none other than Diamond Dave. Introduce yourself to the audience today.
How's everybody doing today? Glad to be here. So it's Diamond Dave, also known as David Williams. I founded the highest paid part-time job in the World Options Training Academy. What's going on, Ericka?
What is good? Listen, so I brought you in today because we got a good couple topics we want to hit on. Now, I spent the weekend in Atlanta, and every time I come here, I drive around the city. I'm doing my investigative journalism. I'm seeing where the growth is, where the buildings are at. And this time, it threw me for a loop. It was 4 or 5 areas. I had to sit down with a piece of paper and write down. I said, let me come back to this. Let me look up these houses. What are some of the things you're seeing? Because you're here on the ground now.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you seeing that's going on with Atlanta at the current time?
What I'm seeing is a lot of commercial and residential real estate development. Mm-hmm. So even though over the past 2 to 3 years, we may believe that we're in some sort of a recession that kind of has not been recognized yet. Mm-hmm. A lot of things I'm seeing in Atlanta is a lot of apartments coming up because there's a shortage of housing. Right. A lot of real estate development. One of the things they do in Atlanta that's different than what I see in other markets is they buy the lot, they knock the whole house down, and they put a whole brand new house up. Well, like if you're in the Orlando area, they may buy the home, remodel it, and put it back out on the market. Atlanta wants to do a total tear down, rebuild, put something new there. And often that home's not congruent with the other homes in the area. So I'm seeing a lot of that type of real estate as I go around the city. I live in the northern Cobb area. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a lot of real estate development there because that's become a very popular area because of the Braves Stadium being out there, creating a boom out there in that area. So we also see the real estate prices really starting to go sky high in that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
The funny thing, the only thing I would think of knowing Cobb or the Braves Stadium is that girl's rap song.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like, I was like, Cobb Stadium. Now, so one of the things I saw was really beautiful houses on this Chandler Park thing. I'm talking about historically old. And as I was talking to Brandy the other day, she came and did a show with us. She was like, she had to tear out all the plumbing and electrical.
Okay.
So it's almost like she built a new house.
Yeah, definitely.
So she said she can see now why people do it that way.
Okay.
Because her next rental, she said she either got to go further out or she got to be willing to tear something down.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that's just a deferred maintenance thing? Is that just the age of the slope of the city? Because it kind of seems like it's very hilly here.
Yeah, definitely.
Or it's just the city, it's just deferred maintenance on some of those properties.
So when you say deferred maintenance, what do you mean?
Deferred maintenance means stuff that should have been done 20 years ago, or something that should have been tweaked every 10 years. The roof hasn't been done in 20. The AC hasn't been done in 30. These are things that we call deferred maintenance in real estate.
Okay.
And I feel like I see a lot of deferred maintenance in Atlanta.
It could be maybe based on the condition of the home. Mm-hmm. However, in my opinion, I just think people are looking for a different look than what was currently there. Because if you look at a lot of the older Atlanta homes, they have a certain look. You can often see that if you go from like real estate market to real estate market. Mm-hmm. There's a certain standard look based on kind of when those homes are built. Right. So you were talking about yesterday, state of Florida, where I'm from, you have a lot of the really big cinder block homes that were built like in the 40s and the 50s. Mm-hmm. So they have a look. The newer homes look totally different. Right. And so I think people want that newer look of home as opposed to like Atlanta. You're seeing a lot of like the red brick homes. Mm-hmm. They necessarily don't want that look. And you also, a lot of the homes I was coming up, Hosea, they're 1-story red brick. And I don't think they want that look. They want more of that 2-story townhouse type look.
For sure. And it's kind of interesting, the mother-in-law suite effect. Okay. In a lot of markets, there's the mother-in-law suite effect. And I think in Atlanta, they're just going to have to either build up to get that extra space. Yeah. Because I don't see people putting a suite way in the backyard. So now you got to extend the driveway to even get back there.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with the amount of trees you guys have here. Like, whew.
Yeah.
The trees blew me away. But yesterday, what threw me for a loop when I was trying to get here to the studio was the Shaky Knees. They had a Shaky Knees festival. It was a rock festival. Okay. And I saw white people everywhere. I was like, where are y'all coming from? What's going on? So I'm driving by and there's miles of people walking. And it was a rock festival in the middle of Atlanta. Okay. And so I just think sometimes people have an idea of what Atlanta is. And it's a diverse type of group of people living here.
Yeah, definitely. It is really diverse. You see a lot of white people, black people. Also now I've seen over the past few years, a lot of Mexicans in the area. Right. Anybody you pretty much see doing construction is probably going to be Mexican. So there is a lot of diversity here. I heard there's an Ethiopian section in one part of the city. So there's a lot of diversity in the city that doesn't really get talked about because people look at Atlanta, I think they think entertainment. Mm-hmm. Entertainment disproportionately, what you kind of see is often going to be black people. but it's really not like that because at the end of the day, you're still in Georgia. Yeah.
This is Brandy Williams, owner of Williams Accounting and Tax Services. We're located in McDonough, Georgia. For those who are in the Atlanta area, that is 75 South, exit 218, and make a right. We're a trilingual office. We offer services in Spanish, English, and Hindi. We also offer a tax course starting August 1st all the way through April 30th. It is bilingual. We service in Spanish and English.
And so something I saw today was 2 taco trucks. Like one was here, one was here.
Okay.
They weren't even distance from, and they were surrounded by construction workers.
Yeah, definitely.
And I said, imagine you have a business downtown, you serve food, you're not even getting those construction guys' money.
Yeah.
The truck lady that just parked with the hazard lights on is getting the truck.
Yeah, she's getting that money.
She getting that money. And so I just thought, and she had a hazard vest on, you know. I said, well, ain't nobody gonna hit you out here, lady.
Yeah, she gotta be careful.
She gotta be careful. She pulling over.
Yeah, and I see that too when I'm in Cobb, West Cobb over there by Austell Road. You see the Mexicans riding around with the carts, selling the food, and they're literally doing this in the neighborhoods. Yeah. So you're seeing a lot of that really authentic culture that's coming from those people. That's kind of how they function, and so you're starting to see that because we're getting so many people. Yeah.
They moving that money around right with their people.
Yeah.
One of the things I will tell people as I've drove around, if you're a black man, and I saw plenty today in the hard hat, getting out the dump truck, you know, on a ladder. If you're a black man and I don't know what I want to do, I'm just hanging around, stuff ain't working out for me, I would strongly suggest construction.
Yeah, definitely.
Because for the next 2 to 5 years, there's just so many different sections of the city that they're either going to rebuild, repair, or redo, or tear down, as you say, tear it all the way down. Yeah. I went by on this way coming to the studio. I don't know the name of this road, but there was 2 black men with belts on trying to fix the water. What do you call that water?
The hydrant?
Hydrant.
Okay.
And I just saw them. They was out there. They had dreadlocks and everything. I said, man, it cracked me up. It like warmed my heart because you're in other cities. You just usually see older white men fixing stuff all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's it.
I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off. But if you go from like 10th Street, going west to like Howard Mill, it's construction all there. You take Atlanta South, which turns into Marietta, massive apartment construction. So you're right. If you want to get some skills, want to develop, because we talked about before, if they lower the rate, I do believe that it's going to create a really big boom in housing. And one of the biggest economies in our country is construction.
Oh, for sure.
So, I think a lot of people don't want to miss that boat. If you're looking for a place where maybe you can do a good 5 to 10, maybe 15-year run of business, it's going to be around housing, commercial building, things of that nature.
For sure.
Yeah.
I went over by the Lenox Mall.
Okay.
And it's only because I was wanting this particular coffee place, but I couldn't find it.
Okay.
And I never have the Google Maps on because I don't want Google to be like, oh, you was here last year. That's none of your business. Okay, Google. So I have that off. So I had to just guess from my eyes. And as I'm like, man, they already done changed this, changed that. Yeah. But I found the place. And sure enough, it was a really nice Italian lady in the front, ringing everybody up. And all the Hispanic people were doing all the meals and lunches. Yeah. And I was just like, man, I had a really great chicken salad sandwich here. And the lady over there, it's been a minute, but she was like, I remember you. I was like, no, you don't. But it's just one of those things where the Southern hospitality, it doesn't matter if they're white or they're Italian or whoever, like they know they got to sell and they got to be nice to the people. So it was busting in there. It was very surprising, but it was by Lenox Mall. And I think some of the things that I think people think, oh, hospitality jobs, food service jobs, those are easy to get into. But at some point in your life, your money needs to get up.
Yeah, definitely.
So there has to be some kind of turning point. And one of the things I like about why I brought you into today to talk is the stock market. Okay. Where we had our event at, across the street was Invesco.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And people were like, why the security out here? And I said, listen, they're going to protect the money.
Yeah, definitely.
And to me, Midtown is like, we're going to put money here.
Yeah.
What are some ways people in Atlanta can get into the stock market? Just by, as they look around, Coca-Cola, they see all these buildings, how can they familiarize themselves with the stock market so they can kind of win?
What I would do is first look at it. We talked about with Coca-Cola, like what products do you consume on a regular basis? And ask yourself, do you believe that those particular products have enough value for you to potentially invest in?
Right.
Because you know that you're adding to those particular organizations because you keep consuming that product. Then what products do you have to consume? So there are certain products that you don't necessarily choose to, but you may have to consume, like you got to buy gas, things of that nature.
Got to.
So look at like the energy sector, which I don't believe is ever going to go away regardless of the government trying to push these alternative energy spaces. I think that energy sector, that old fossil fuel sector is going to always be here
for sure
because of the way the world is constructed. So I'd initially start looking at that. And then once you kind of get familiar with that, get comfortable, then you can look at maybe potentially things like trading, options, stocks, maybe bonds, equities, maybe even crypto if you're really that savvy.
Right.
But really start with what are some of the things you look at, you use day to day
Right.
that you choose to use, and also what are things that you have to use just to function in your life.
For sure. Where I had my event, I was like, hey, I would love a Dr. Pepper. She was like, is it a Coke product?
Yeah.
They didn't have it in the whole building. They standing on business.
Exactly.
I was just like, you telling me there's not a Dr. Pepper at the bar? There's
Yeah.
not a Dr. Pepper. Like nowhere in this hotel will there be a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
If it ain't a Coke, it ain't here.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, man, super nice lady goes across the street to the
Okay.
little corner store, gets me a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
And she said the Dr. David had ran out. They only had one left. But imagine being in a marketplace where they're like, no, this is a Coke city.
Exactly.
There is no Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
You will drink Coke.
Yeah.
And I love that as a business owner, like that you can enforce that. That I thought that was pretty strong.
Yeah, you do get sometimes that regionality, because years ago I went to Chicago, and one thing I noticed, everybody was wearing Nike.
Yeah.
I couldn't see any other brand on shoes. I mean, no matter what part of the city I went to, it was a Nike city through and through.
Yep.
And that maybe started in the 80s with Jordan and the whole 9 yards, but you kind of see in certain places and you go to, they're very strong with a particular brand or particular service in that particular area. We talked about where can you get RC Cola at, how that's regional. Because I didn't even know you could get Dr. Pepper out here till you showed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never seen it before.
I had to ask.
Yeah, I feel you.
She was like, the store was running out.
I
So
feel you.
there's somebody, people want it. You just can't get it.
Yeah.
Okay. The effect of Georgia Tech downtown, I think it's beautiful.
Okay.
I love the design. I love how they've kind of taken over the streets. But was it Midtown more black at some point?
I believe it was back when the economic situation was different.
Right.
So when I first moved here and I saw where Tech was at,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw where the Bluff was at, because I used to go to Antioch, which is right by the Bluff.
Okay.
In my mind, I said, it's just a matter of time before they come over there to take that property.
Got you.
Because where I'm from, the colleges own pretty much everything around the college.
sure.
They try to own all the real estate so they can control it as they
For
grow.
sure.
They already have control of it, so they don't have to try to worry about paying for it later on.
Okay.
And so I always wondered, when is Tech going to come, or when people are going to come in and look to get into those areas because they're so close to Tech as Tech starts to expand.
For sure.
So I have heard that those areas were predominantly black at one time.
Okay.
But over time, as cost of living has gone up,
Mm-hmm.
things have changed. They knocked down the projects in the 90s.
For sure.
People started to move out. Other people started to move in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful downtown today. I drove a very long stretch from the hotel, and I was like, this looks amazing. Like lots of green space, lots of walking. If somebody came from New York, I can see why they go, I can stay right down here and go on about my day.
Yeah.
And walk to the stores and walk to everything they need is right there.
Automation and artificial intelligence are changing the world forever. Without the correct skill set, you will become obsolete. My name is Dr. Patrick Dixon. I research how millions of people will lose their jobs unless they retrain.
What happens to the person who can't afford to be downtown Atlanta?
I think they got to find somewhere else to stay.
Right.
And, I just think it's going to be very difficult because what I talked about before,
Mm-hmm.
other places in the metro, we're not taking Section 8 vouchers.
Right.
So I think if you're already economically unstable, you have a lot of economic issues,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to get better, because from my perspective personally,
Mm-hmm.
where Atlanta's going to, and I know they're going to annex some more land, but because they're really short on land,
Right.
they're going to make it to where if you're probably not making $100,000 a year, you may not be able to live here.
Right.
And I just think either you, from a renting standpoint or trying to purchase a home, things are just going to continue to get more and more expensive as time goes on, because we know that we're in a demographic shift to where the cities are starting to become more in demand from a real estate standpoint.
For sure.
And I don't see any scenario where that demand goes down. I was talking to somebody the other day about the city that I'm from, and I was like, this house is priced higher than it was 6 years ago.
For sure.
And even if you get a 20% cut, it'll still be higher than it was 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not seeing this narrative to where housing prices are going to just fall in the major metro areas.
Right.
And if you look at Atlanta, it's very unique. You can go 45 minutes to an hour out, and housing prices are still very, very high.
For sure.
And that's something I think a lot of people want to understand. So they may be looking at Cartersville. They may be looking at Macon.
Mm-hmm.
They may be looking, if they're lucky, at LaGrange. But I just think living in these cities the way we could maybe in the 80s and the 90s, early 2000s, if you're not bringing a certain amount of money, it could be difficult.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see a lot of growth. I see a lot of development. And I tell people, like, there's certain cities I write off. I go, Oklahoma City, y'all good.
Yeah.
I go to some places, I'm like, they have enough multifamily housing. The market's good.
Okay.
But I go to Houston. I come here. I go, the others, not Tampa, but St. Pete.
St. Pete.
I've seen a lot of articles about Orlando.
Yeah.
A lot of people moving there and doing videos on it. I'm like, okay. And then I've seen a lot about Chattanooga, which I'm getting ready to go today to go check out some, do a real estate video kind of situation later. But yeah, people moving around.
Yeah.
And you got to decide, if I'm here in the city, if I'm in Atlanta, I'm looking weekly for where I can invest some money, or I can buy something or have some kind of ownership.
Yeah.
Because even when I drove around this little neighborhood, they had like the corner stores.
Okay.
Like you see up north, where you can get your groceries, you can get your little snacks.
Yeah.
And then they had a little restaurant. And I said, this neighborhood by itself, I would love this.
Yeah.
I'd walk down on Saturday, get some brunch.
Yeah.
Stop by the corner store, grab some snacks. I don't have to leave.
Yeah.
It reminded me in a small size way of Katy, Texas.
Okay.
Where they're like, oh, Houston's an hour away. We're going to be right. Everything you need is right here in Katy.
Yeah.
Your cough, your sports, your everything. I even found out Katy, Texas had originally tried to get the LPGA to come there.
Okay.
But instead they chose Prosper.
Okay.
So Prosper, Texas, near Dallas. So I just see the growth, and I'm like, I hope you figure out a way to get LinkedIn into your city.
Yeah, definitely.
Some way, somehow you got to get LinkedIn into your city. Diamond Dave, tell them where they can find you online, and we'll hit on to the next topic.
So you can find me online, YouTube, Diamond Dave, Instagram, Diamond_David Williams. Check me out. Love to have a conversation with you. Talk to you later.
All right, you guys, this is your girl, Ericka, Classic Climb Vlog. See you in a bit.